Let's just remind you of the breaking news in the last half an hour. A statement on the Facebook page of the Welsh singer-songwriter Bonnie Tyler, needs no introduction, has said that she has unexpectedly passed away at the age of 75 following treatment for an illness in Portugal. The family, in a statement, say that they share that news, the unexpected death of Bonnie Tyler. She was being treated last night in hospital in Portugal as a result of the illness. A further statement to come shortly. But let's remind you of perhaps her most famous work. Bonnie Tyler there with that iconic voice. The iconic voice actually came about because she had some surgery, and then one day was told that she needed to not talk to recover from the surgery on the vocal nodules that she'd had on her throat. This was back in 1976, actually. And she screamed out one day, and that changed her voice ultimately to the husky tones that we now know. And so it's tracks such as Total Eclipse of the Heart or Holding Out for a Hero, those kind of more rock and roll anthems that she made headlines and chart-topping success with. Born in Neath back in 1951, a Welsh singer-songwriter, of course, representing Eurovision in latter years. And in kind of her latter years as a performer, she had more success in continental Europe, countries like France and Germany, for example. And she was due to be playing more dates in Germany, Romania, Austria throughout the course of the summer and into the autumn as well. Countries that continue to love and know her music, as does the UK, of course, given an MBE for services to music a few years ago. Well, this, of course, is the iconic track, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Joining us now is Bethany Monell. Bethany, just tell us more about what we do or don't know at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, we were aware that Bonnie Tyler was unwell. It was back in May that we had a statement from her family to say that she was undergoing intestinal surgery, that it was all looking good and that hopefully she would make a full recovery. That was all in Faro, Portugal, where she lives. So people have been aware, the news kind of was aware that she had health problems. However, it looked like it was going to have a positive outcome. And as you say, sadly, today, we've heard that statement directly from her family. They've called her death unexpected, so clearly it has caught everybody unawares. They've said they're heartbroken to announce her passing in the hospital, and they've said they'll issue a further statement shortly. But for now, they've asked for privacy while they deal with, you know, what must be a great shock. She was 75, so really far too young to be losing such an absolute icon.
And I'm just rereading the kind of the details of kind of that voice change, because we know her for that kind of slightly husky delivery, and it all came about because she was having surgery in the mid-1970s for vocal nodules, told to rest her voice for 6 weeks, not to speak, let alone sing. And then, you know, how can you tell an artist not to perform? Lets out an anguished scream of frustration was the line here, and then tries to sing and has the new husky tones, and kind of led her to actually have some of her greatest success.
It's one of those beautiful stories, isn't it? We all tell our kids it's good to be yourself, it's good to be individual, you don't have to be like everyone else. Indeed, Bonnie Tyler sort of unexpectedly came upon this husky, gravelly voice, but it ended up being her absolute trademark. What made her different to everybody else? I mean, I think in her day she earned kind of accolades and comparisons with the female Rod Stewart, the female Meatloaf. But let's face it, Bonnie Tyler was very much an icon and a great female rock singer in her own right. And as you're saying, it's that song, Total Eclipse of the Heart. We're going to be hearing that a lot today and from on this week. That was the song that made her. That was the song that turned her from being a singer that we all knew with several hits to absolutely rocketing at a megastar, a global megastar.
It will be rocketing up the streaming services, I'm sure. Bethany, for the moment, thank you so much. The news in the last hour or so. The Welsh singer Bonnie Tyler, best known for her hit Total Eclipse of the Heart, has died aged 75. Let's take a listen. Our arts and entertainment reporter Bethany Manel is here. Bethany, it's an iconic track from an iconic artist.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the song that really evokes Bonnie Tyler, the artist, who sadly today we have discovered that she has died aged 75. Her family put out a statement to explain that she had passed away in Portugal, where she was living. We did know that she was ill back in May. She'd undergone emergency surgery and she'd actually been placed in an induced coma. However, we'd been told that she was recovering, she was doing well. She even had gigs lined up in the summer and beyond. She was due to perform in Wales in December. But sadly, today, we have got the news that she has passed away. And as you say, an absolute icon of the rock and pop world. And that is the song that we all know her for. But actually, she was amazingly versatile. She really spanned quite a few genres. She was first discovered fronting a soul band. That's where she was picked up and talent scouted and went on to become the Bonnie Tyler that we all know today. But as you say, that 1983 song, Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is very often sung in karaoke classic, that dramatic key change, that real moment which showcased her gravelly, distinctive voice. That's the one that we all know her by. And I mean, that song, it was one of the biggest selling songs of the decade. It hit #1 in the US and over here. So it's a valid, worthwhile song that we still remember today, 4 decades later. And actually, she was very lucky because it was the early days of MTV when that song came out, which was helped, as we've just seen a little bit of that video there, the classic 80s themes, candles, doves, big shoulder pads, wind machines. You know, it got a lot of airtime, but that song is one that just stays with people, and she performed it in her own unique way, which really, I think, cemented her as a big star and to carry on. She did have other hits, of course. She wasn't a one-hit wonder by any means, you know, Holding Out for a Hero from Footloose, Here She Comes, If You Were a Woman and I Was a Man. You know, she does have so many hits, and she was a very versatile performer. So she'll be sadly missed today, and I think a lot of people that maybe didn't catch her touring when she's been touring in the last few years will now be kicking themselves that they didn't see her live.
As you name those tracks, I then have them starting to play in the back of my head. I'm just seeing here a bit of reaction from the Welsh First Minister, Rhys Iorwerth, who says that Wales has lost a true icon. Deeply saddened to hear of the passing of Bonnie Tyler, a true icon whose music brought joy to so many. I extend my heartfelt condolences to her family, friends and fans across the world. And that across the world element's interesting because maybe a bit less present in the UK in recent years, you say based in Portugal, but she really had quite significant success in continental Europe. And if you look at the tour dates that had been scheduled through the course of the summer and into the autumn, huge numbers in Germany, Austria, Romania, places like that. She still had huge international acclaim. She
absolutely had international acclaim. And lest we forget, in 2013, she performed Eurovision for us. She came 19th. She didn't win. That was in Malmö, Sweden. But I know she spoke about that as being a really kind of enjoyable key part of her career back in 2013. And, of course, like you say, that would have brought her to the whole European audience, which maybe wasn't so used to her work. And in America, she had a big resurgence back in 2017 when there was the first big solar eclipse. Her song went back up to #1 on iTunes because, of course, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Why not? I mean, she's never been forgotten. I think she's always been up there as somebody that people instantly recognise. She was 3 times Grammy nominated. She was made an MBE back in 2023. She once performed for Pope Francis in the Vatican for their Christmas concert. I mean, the word icon is terribly overused, but I think with Bonnie Tyler, she is a voice we recognise. She was a huge talent and also an immensely strong character, and I think people warm to that. There's an anecdote about her singing in 1988 at the Reading Rock Festival, when traditionally I think that the crowd were a little hostile, bit of a turn from kind of hard rock to more pop rock. So she wasn't well received on the stage. She carried on. She performed her set despite missiles being thrown, and famously Meatloaf followed her onto the stage for his set, and he only got 3 songs in before his nose was broken by a missile. But Bonnie Tyler, she was the character that she would keep going. And I think that's kind of what we remember her by, as well as her songs. And anyone that's read her memoir will see that kind of strength of character. Also, she leaves behind her husband, who she married back in 1973. So that's another rare thing in showbiz and entertainment.
100%.
A marriage that lasted, I think he was her first serious boyfriend. So again, she was a woman that knew what she liked, knew what she was good at, and did it so well.
Like you say, an icon to many, a hero to many more as well. And, well, seems apt to play Holding Out for a Hero. Well, let's discuss it further with Kelly Allen, assistant editor at Fabulous magazine. Kelly, good to see you. Appreciate you joining us here on Sky. Your reflections to this tragic news.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, we knew she was sick in May, but everyone was sort of hoping she was getting better. You know, they'd said she'd come around, she was awake. I got to see her perform live in 2009 at Hard Rock Cafe, do a charity fundraiser called Pinktober. It's actually organised with Gloria Honeyford for breast cancer, and it was at the Albert Hall, and she performed. And I remember thinking, this is so cool, because that song, Total Eclipse of the Heart, I would sing with my friends. Just like we were mentioned there, it's a big karaoke hit. And I got to meet her afterwards, and she was just so lovely and so happy to be there and helping a woman's charity. And I was really quite taken with her. So it was really sad news too. I think that's the thing, like her career really did span much more than just that song. I mean, even in 2025, David Guetta, the DJ, remixed the song with her vocals, and she was quite thrilled that it got 1 billion streams. She was like, there's 8.3 billion people in the world, and 1 billion people have listened to my song and still enjoying it sort of 40 years on since it first came out.
Yes, just seeing, like you say, Total Eclipse boosted by the actual eclipses in 2017 and 2024. And that is the beauty of streaming services now, isn't it? Is it enables people to discover, connect, listen and easily access stars who are producing absolute iconic tracks decades ago. And so, you know, to that end, Bonnie Tyler was supposed to be spending most of the rest of this year continuing to tour, which is, you know, remarkable testament to her longevity.
That really is at 75. And I think that's the thing exactly you say with streaming services. There's sort of new people discovering music every day. I was thinking that Total Eclipse of the Heart was 7 minutes long, and these days songs are about 1 or 2 minutes. And I was thinking, wow, what a long song for radio play, for people to listen to. And I think even things like Shrek 2, there was Holding On for a Hero was on the soundtrack too, and that introduced a lot of people to Bonnie as well. So it's that thing, and as we said, she was on Eurovision, so that's how new fans continue to find her. And I think even though she's gone, those songs will be remembered and people will still listen to them and blast them out on a Saturday night after a few drinks.
Just seeing here that she referenced songs by Janis Joplin, Nina Simone, Otis Redding, amongst others, Tina Turner, as ones that she had fallen in love with. I used to sing them into my hairbrush for hours and hours. That's how it all started for me. I fell in love with singing just from doing that. Looking back, even then, my voice had a husky tone to it, but I didn't think much of it. I thought everyone's voices were different from each other's. Well, hers was different and iconic as well. And just talk to us about what it was like watching her perform, because we heard there from Bethany Manel, she could hold her own on a stage.
She absolutely could. She actually had nodule surgery, and that changed her voice between sort of her first album and her second one, and gave her that sort of, someone described like a Rod Stewart sort of husk to it. And that's what I remember, like, so 2009, it was like nearly 20 years ago. She just she sang quite a few songs, but it was the Total Eclipse of the Heart. Everyone wanted to hear. Everyone was on their feet in the Royal Albert Hall singing and supporting, and I think it was one of the highlights of the night for me, and I feel very lucky that I got to hear it live.
And just if other viewers are going, oh, I've not massively maybe been a big Bonnie fan, what else from her back catalogue should they be looking out for?
Oh, well, It's a Heartache is a good one. I mean, Holding Out for a Hero, everyone knows. That was sort of what got her, like, she sort of struggled. She had her first album, she had her nodule surgery, and then she sort of struggled with a hit. And Jim Steinman, who is the producer and songwriter, worked a lot with Meat Loaf. He came on board and helped her. And actually, the success of working with him was sort of a bit of her, not her downfall, but she made him so famous that everyone wanted to work with him. Barbara Streisand, lots of other big names were like, I want a bit of that. And she sort of didn't, that was where she sort of really didn't recapture the sort of success of Total Eclipse of the Heart, although she kept releasing music and, as you said, kept performing and was due to keep performing this summer.
And, of course, married to her longtime husband, who himself was a former Olympic judo competitor. The couple had no children, but they were a powerhouse in what they did. You mentioned that she had been unwell in prior months. There was talk on her Facebook page that she'd been in a coma back in June. Had there been any understanding as to what exactly she was being treated for or suffering from?
She had some intestinal surgery back in May, and then it was announced she'd been induced into a medical coma. And people were quite concerned then about her health. But then maybe a week or so ago, maybe it was two, sorry, I might get the dates slightly wrong. They announced that she was coming around and much better and was talking, and I think people sort of thought she was on the mend. So I think that's why the news this morning was a bit sort of shocking. We were sort of believed it was she was getting better, and I think actually in the family's announcement Facebook it said her death was quite unexpected. So I think that's the sort of sad thing, that I think they thought they were probably out of the worst of it.
Kelly Allen joining us from Fabulous Magazine, assistant editor at the publication. Good to see you. Appreciate you joining us here on Sky News.
Once upon a time there was light in my life, but now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart.
The breaking news this morning that the legendary Welsh rock singer Bonnie Tyler has died in Portugal at the age of 75.